30 videos in 30 days, day 8. Today's question comes from Rain via Facebook. She says, Andrew, how can we stay present when we feel gut-wrenching fear in our solar plexus? I don't know why, and as we go deeper, all we can feel is that terrible, horrible feeling. That's a really, really good question, and especially at this time on the planet when so much fear, collective and individual, is being released, when so many of these programs are being dismantled and falling apart, and it's like as this container that held so much fear collapses, it's like this release of all of this fear energy. I'm going to share with you some of the things that have helped me on my journey when learning how to deal with emotions that feel difficult or challenging. Some of the emotions that we would perhaps, label as negative or unwanted emotions. I think that all of our emotions have a message for us. All of our emotions are a gift, and all of our emotions have something to teach us and tell us. Some of the things that have helped me when learning how to deal with fear are, number one, remembering that when I'm feeling fear in my body, a fear response in the body is only evidence that there's a fear response in the body. It doesn't always mean that there's actually something to be afraid of, right? I think of panic attacks and how sometimes we have these irrational responses to nothing in our immediate environment that is showing me that I need to be afraid of something. It's just for whatever reason, something has been triggered in my mind, and my mind goes on the track of believing that there's something to be afraid of, and that signals the body to go, oh, okay, the mind is telling me I'm afraid, so I gotta be afraid now. So we start to feel it physically. I think the second thing that has really helped me is learning how to move in the direction of my discomfort. What I mean by that is oftentimes when these challenging emotions come up, we think that there's something to run from, there's something to avoid, and we oftentimes, rather than allowing ourselves to feel the discomfort of fear, we want to shut it down, we want to soothe it, we want to avoid it. And I would offer that allowing ourselves to move in the direction of it, allow ourselves to become curious about what is this fear about? What is going on right now? What is it that I need to know about this message that my body is sending me through my emotional field? Becoming curious about it, getting familiar with our fear, beginning to understand it, can help soften it. Because oftentimes what we realize is it's just a part of us that perhaps has not been quite acknowledged yet or fully acknowledged yet. So it's like someone, it's like a little kid who just has to put on a scary monster mask to get our attention. I think fear is something also that the mind uses when we are moving outside of the known, when we are moving outside of the comfort zone. What I believe is that the mind is essentially an archive. The mind only has access to the information and the experiences that have occurred up until this point in our life. So when I am moving out of the known, like we are right now, we are moving energetically into spaces that we have not encountered in this lifetime. And we are moving out of the known zone. We are moving beyond the comfortable, familiar place that we tend to hang out. And anytime we go into the unknown, if the mind does not have a reference point, if it can't look back into our history and find an approximation of when the last time this happened, it's immediately going to go into threat assessment mode. It is immediately going to try to shut it down and say, well, I got to keep Andrew safe. Because the mind equates safety with predictable, controllable, and knowable. So when I am moving beyond the knowable, the mind has no other rationalization for it, no point of reference for it, so it just starts the alarm bells and it goes into threat assessment mode until it can conceivably believe that we are safe. So part of it is the fear is really showing us that it's not about living through the mind anymore. It's about that reorientation of living from the heart instead of living through the mind. So fear, I think, is a message that oftentimes we're trying to understand something from a logical, rational perspective that we have no frame of reference for. So that's when trust and faith and going inside really become important, to really become curious about what is this fear and what is it trying to tell me. There's another layer that I think is important to acknowledge, and that is cellular memory. Our bodies are amazing storehouses of information, and in many ways what we are doing right now is purging collective fear, purging the fear from our own field, our old programs, our old beliefs, our old way of being. Fear is a very, very powerful tool, and there are a lot of institutions and a lot of people on the planet who are very aware of that. We have billion-dollar industries built upon making you afraid of something. If you don't take this pill, this bad thing is going to happen. If you don't buy this thing, then this horrible thing is going to happen. So fear has been used in many ways, and it has sort of permeated our collective consciousness. So what the body is oftentimes trying to do is just get rid of it. It's just purging it. It's like sloughing off this old layers of dead skin, and as it moves out of our body, it passes in front of our awareness, and the mind goes, oh my God, wait, what is that? Fear, be afraid, alarm bells, alarm bells. So I think if you allow yourself to become curious about it, allow yourself to dialogue with it, a really simple meditation, if you're having a lot of solar plexus stuff, go into meditation, breathe in and out of your solar plexus for about 5 minutes, really open up that energy center, and then ask it, what do you want me to know? What is this fear about? What message does this fear have for me? How can I help bring back balance and ease and flow into my physical body? And if you get an answer in meditation, then use that answer. Or if it's easier for you to journal, do the meditation for about 5 minutes, breathe in and out of the solar plexus, and then simply ask, okay, what's this fear about? What can you tell me about this fear that will help me assist you in releasing it? And then just write. Take dictation for your body and just allow this dialogue to begin. And if you do this repeatedly and consistently over a couple of days and weeks, I think you'll begin to find that it abates and it has a message for you. That's the big key to remember, is that any emotional fluctuation in our body, especially when it feels really big and dramatic like fear, it's simply a message. There's just something that it needs you to know, and once it has given you the message, then it can begin to evaporate out of your field and out of your awareness. I hope that this helps, Rain. Thanks for the question.